morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be looking at the top 10 most expensive full art supporters that are around in the Pokemon trading card game at the moment. Now, to keep things a little bit simpler, we are sticking to Sword and Shield on, and it's not just because I'm lazy, it's also because finding packs of cards from before Sword and Shield is becoming increasingly difficult. We've had 2 years of Sword and Shield, we've had 8 sets. I think this is a nice time to stop and take a little bit of a look and just focus in on the Sword and Shield expansion. And what I will tell you is that on this list there are a whole bunch that I was expecting to be on the list that just aren't. So Skylar's a pretty popular character. Skylar's one that I would expect to be on this list. And as it stands at the moment, and these things can always change, of course, in the future, Full Art Skylar came around in Shining Fates, just not on the list. Surprising, but that's the way we are. Cheryl, and let's face it, now that Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl is out, everyone actually knows who Cheryl is, which is a nice little change. Cheryl was actually revealed about the time I was completing Pokemon Platinum, so I actually knew who Cheryl was, but had I not just completed Platinum, I definitely would not have. But Cheryl here, you've got a brilliant card that heals your evolved Pokemon at the cost of their energy, but there's always ways around it, and a really cool character. And I was expecting Cheryl to end up on this list. As it stands at the moment, Cheryl isn't on this list. There are a bunch of characters that I would expect to be on this list for whatever reason, just haven't made their way on. It's a little bit weird, but there we go. And I do need to give you all a little bit of a warning as we start here. Many of these are incredibly close together. I have looked all around and I've tried to get you a really good list of the top 10 most expensive cards, but please do bear in mind many of these are very close and sometimes the values vary, so you may be able to find values that disagree with this list, but I promise you I did my research, I totted it up, and this is, at the time of recording, a pretty good list. So in at number 10, a roughly $15 card, we've got Raihan. Raihan is one of the very few male characters on this list. Generally speaking, the female characters are the more popular and they really drive the value up. But Raihan is a very popular character from the video games, and that is largely what puts him up here. I mean, in terms of the card, one of your Pokemon have been knocked out last turn, and then you attach a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon, and search your deck for any card. It's fine, but I think it's fair to say it's not setting the world on fire. In at number 9, we've got Nessa, and Nessa is a card that sees very little play. We really are just looking here at a very popular character and the full art version thereof. It's a cool card that lets you put 4 in any combination of water Pokemon and water energy from your discard pile into your hand, and it certainly will see a bit of play here and there. In water decks it is a cool card, but I think here we're looking at the popularity of Nessa. And I know that I put Nessa as a $15 card, and I also put Raihan as a $15 card. Please know that when I'm doing this and putting 2 cards of the same value in different spots, I'm using tiebreakers. I'm looking everywhere and I'm going, well, they're generally $15 cards, but overall Nessa seems to sell for a little bit more, so Nessa goes a little bit higher up on the list. So in at number 8, we've got Flannery, and I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, Flannery is not one that I expected to be particularly high up on this list. Sure, we got a full art female character, which always helps, and sure, Flannery's cool, but Flannery's also a gym leader who is largely forgotten. Flannery does not see many cards in the TCG, and Flannery generally just isn't a hugely popular character, not like that. However, maybe there's a lot of Gen 3 fans around, because Flannery absolutely makes it onto the list. In at number 7, we've got Melony, and Melony is a very nice and easy one to figure out, because Melony is a phenomenal card. Melony lets you attach a water energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon V. Doesn't have to be a water Pokemon, does have to be a Pokemon V. This is really, really good as Energy Acceleration. It's a great card. This is the full art version of it. I personally dislike this card intensely because there were so many people that saw Melony holding an Ultra Ball in this card and used it to predict that we'd be getting a reprint of Ultra Ball, and then started shouting about how clever they were when the Ultra Ball reprint got revealed. And the annoying thing is, this was never foreshadowing a reprint of Ultra Ball. It's just Melony holding the Ultra Ball she holds in the game. This was the only ball you could give to Melony. They are the balls that Melony uses in the game. It wasn't a hint. It was a coincidence. And yeah, I don't know why that annoys me so much, but apparently it does. In at number 6, we've got Phoebe. Not just the name of my adorable niece. Also, the 6th most expensive full art supporter at $18. And Phoebe is a moderately popular character. It's one of those Elite Four members, so they always seem to get a little bit more pop sometimes. Even if they're not the most popular characters, the fact that we're talking about an Elite Four member here, and again, we're talking Gen 3, so maybe people just really like Gen 3. Maybe that's where we are here. Either way, Phoebe is still an extremely cool card. It allows your VMAXs to go through anything that might be blocking them, and there actually are a bunch of cards out there that will block your VMAXs from attacking, so being able to have Phoebe here helping you out, going through all that stuff, that's actually a rather large bonus. Plus the artwork on this card is pretty gosh darn stunning, so I suppose that explains Phoebe. In at number 5, we've got Caitlyn, and I don't think anyone needs to even pretend this is because Caitlyn is a playable card. Caitlyn came around a while ago and got a reprint, including a full art. Caitlyn's not a good card. I would like Caitlyn to be a good card. I want Caitlyn to be a good card. It's a draw card that is, quite frankly, not good enough. Put any number of cards from your hand to the bottom of your deck, then draw that many cards. It's not a good card. It's not proven to see a lot of play either last time or this time. Caitlyn is just a very popular character. And the fact of the matter is, on this entire list, we've got one male character coming in at number 10. That was Raihan. So, popular female character, full art version, lovely artwork. That explains it. Now, in at number 4, we've got Klara, and I'm putting this at $22, but I'm going to put an asterisk next to this one. Because of all the cards I looked at, this was the most variable. This is the one that I had the hardest time actually trying to pin down a value of. Because I saw it selling for less than $10, and I saw it selling for more than $30. So I'm putting this as a $22 card. I think it's a $22 card, but please, please, please bear in mind, this was an extremely difficult one to actually put a value on. Now here you either put 2 Pokemon from your discard pile to your hand or 2 energy from your discard to your hand. I love this card because you can get 2 Pokemon back, one of which can act as a draw engine, I'm looking at you, Crobat, and one of which can just be the one you actually want, and then you draw more cards with a Crobat. So this is extremely cool. I like it as a card, but it's not a huge card that sees a huge amount of play, and that's something we tend to see with these full art supporters. The correlation between price and playability is not really that high. It tends to be popular characters more than the actual playability, whereas when we get to secret rare Pokemon cards, the playability plays far more of a factor, except for, you know, the real big guns. In at number 3, we got a new entry for Elesa's Sparkle. And this one is actually an extremely playable card. Now, sure, we do have Elesa, and honestly, as far as I'm concerned, the best artwork on this whole list. Although I have just played through White and White 2 in the last couple of months, so I'm a little bit biased. I played a lot of Gen 5 lately. But the point is, this is also a really playable card, because you get to choose 2 Fusion Strike Pokemon and attach a Fusion Strike energy from your deck to each of them. Great energy acceleration and from the deck, so you don't need the cards in your hand, you don't need them in the discard, you can just attach them from your deck. Phenomenal card, popular character, great artwork, yeah. In at number 2, we have got Sonia, and I just want to point out at this stage that there is a $5 difference between number 5 and number 2, and a $10 difference between number 10 and number 2. These are all pretty gosh darned close together. There's not an awful lot to choose. So again, when I talk about these being pretty close and it being hard to make the list, I really mean it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Sonia came out in Rebel Clash. You search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon or 2 basic energy and put them into your hand. I have seen this make its way into deck lists, but I have not seen this become a staple in a whole bunch of decks, and I wouldn't be fair for me to lie and say that I had. Unfortunately, this is just an example of Sonia is a main character in Gen 8. People really like that, and it really is as simple as that. I wish I could give you a better answer. I wish I could tell you this was an amazingly playable card, but like so many cards on this list, what we've got is a combination of popular character, really nice artwork, and that puts it in at number 2. But in at number 1, in an absolute landslide, it's Marnie, and it's not even close. Incidentally, I know there is a second full art Marnie, but because that was a promo card released in its own box, I've not put it on the list, but that is also a pretty expensive card. And one of the things I find very interesting here is that there sometimes is a case where when you release a card, the fact that there's another full art version of it decreases the value. And that hasn't really happened for Marnie here. Marnie is just a super popular character. I mean, Marnie is the most popular character from the Sword and Shield games. I don't think that's a controversial statement. But Marnie also happens to be a phenomenally playable card there's a 3 or 4 of in every deck. Both players shuffle their hand and put them on the bottom of the deck. The player who plays it gets 5 cards and the other player gets 4. Although they will then start their turn with 5 cards, they'll obviously draw 1 for the turn. It is a crazy playable card, and it is a super popular character. There is a lot going on here. And Marnie, you know, as I said, there's a $10 difference between 2 and 10. There's a $10 difference between 1 and 2. Marnie is number 1 here, and quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, it's not even close. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would you? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.